Hello, and thanks for joining us on Encore. Coming up on today's show.
All the small things, true care, truth brings. What's my age again? What's my age again? Forever and ever. Let's make this last forever.
Their pop-punk sound dominated the airwaves at the turn of the century and went on to set the tone for the bands who followed. Blink-182 are back with a new lineup and a new album. They join us in the studio to talk about returning to their roots in California. I'm joined by Matt Skiba and Mark Hoppus of Blink-182. Hi guys, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
For having us.
Well, let's talk about the latest album, California, the state where Blink-182 started out. Something of a return to the roots, I suppose. How much do you think your sound's influenced by being a West Coast band?
Quite a bit. When I was growing up, I was very heavily influenced by the Southern California, West Coast style of punk rock. It seemed to me that it was a little more melodic, a little catchier, a little less angry, and they were talking about things that I could relate with, like food and girls and being angry with your parents, and it wasn't so political. So for me, like the whole West Coast influence of skate culture and punk rock really made me who I am today.
Okay, and what about you, Matt?
Same thing. I grew up in Chicago, but I had family on the West Coast, and ever since I was young, as long as I can remember, the West Coast punk rock scene and skateboard culture was always a huge influence on me. So I've been in California now for about 15 years. So I think I'm officially a Californian now, but yeah, I grew up listening to the same stuff that Mark did. So.
Okay, well, let's check out one of the singles from the album. This is She's Out of Her Mind.
I'm in deep with this girl, but she's out of her mind. She said, babe, I'm sorry, but I'm crazy tonight. She got a black shirt, black skirt, and Bauhaus stuck in her head. I'm in deep with this girl, but she's out of her mind. Oh yeah, we all need something to live for. Yeah, we all need.
Okay, so I noticed that this clip is a remake of a previous video of yours. What's
Yes.
the story behind this?
Well, the original idea behind this video, Travis, our drummer, had, and his idea was, well, what if we did a video where we weren't in it at all, and it was models?
Okay.
And so somehow that morphed into the video that you see now, which is models that are basically recreating the What's My Age Again video. And it's good because we're all in our 40s now. So it's better that we're
What does that
replaced.
mean?
Well, it's better that the people who are naked on screen aren't us at this point.
I think there's been some disappointment to see less nudity from Blink-182. Well, California is your 7th album as a band. Mark, you recorded the first album almost 20 years ago when
Yes.
you were very young and just into your 20s. What's different this time around?
I'd say that this time is less different than it ever has been before. This album felt like very much a return to what we started the band doing. There was a real unity of purpose between the three of us. It was a very fast writing process. It was very fun. Everybody was in a great mood. And we didn't overthink anything. We just went in and wrote stuff that we loved and didn't really readdress things. We'd go back and see if we loved stuff and change things around, but it was basically first thought, best thought, and we just wanted to play fast and loud and fun.
Okay, quite spontaneous then. And Matt, this is your first album with the band, and you were playing with Alkaline Trio before. How was it to slot into an established lineup?
Well, it was sort of a step-by-step process. Initially I played with these guys to fill in for some shows they already had on the books, and we kind of just went at it like we'll just kind of see what happens. And we've been friends for about 15 years, so we already knew each other. But of course, being in a band with each other is a completely different thing. And luckily, I think for all of us, it worked out really well. So it was a gradual and very comfortable process. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Blink-182 has had a few detours, a few transitions, changes of sound. How do you think that has contributed to the band that you are today?
Well, I think that with every successive record, we've tried to push ourselves and be better songwriters and better musicians. We've tried different things, and we just pull from different styles of music, and we feel comfortable being able to take from hardcore or pop punk or hip hop or any of the other influences of things we listen to, classic rock. and put them into what is Blink-182. And I think when we very first started off, our goal with the three of us was just to play exclusively pop punk style, and just I think we branched out from there and really opened our own minds quite a bit.
Matt, what would you say that you brought personally to the band? What was your USP?
What's his USP? What's USP?
Unique selling point.
Interesting.
selling-
I didn't know
selling
that.
point.
I'm gonna use that all the time now.
What did I bring to the band? I think the fact that I was a fan for so long, it was, both Mark and Travis are just amazingly creative, gifted guys, and to be a part of that, it's like I feel like I brought in, a fan's perspective. I think with a lot of, music that I've done, it's hard to step outside of it and look at it, and with Blink, I feel very much a part of the band, of course, but it also, I got to see it from a fan's perspective, a non-member's, fan perspective.
Yeah, and it's a fresh view. Well, the pop-punk style that Blink-182 spearheaded at the end of the 90s became the sound of the era, spawning imitators, followers, and plenty of fans. France 24's music critic Mariam Saab spoke to a couple of those fans who've now moved into the industry themselves. Let's take a listen.
If Drew could defect to another band, not that he would ever want to, which would it be?
There's so many. Bon Iver, but he's not a band.
Yeah,
you just want to hang out.
Give me a band. Give me a
Okay.
band. Give me a band.
Then,
but yes, Bon Iver.
Blink-182 since they're back on the road.
Wow. And I'd be Tom DeLonge.
Yeah, that makes the most sense to fit in.
Wait, but then I'd be that guy.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh yeah, you're the new Tom.
So that was the Chainsmokers. I think they were asking you guys for a job. Would you let them in?
Absolutely. Yeah, the Chainsmokers have actually been big supporters of Blink-182. They've mentioned us several times in interviews, and their song they did with Halsey called Closer actually shouts out Blink-182, and they've said that when they were in the studio writing that song, they were referencing I Miss You. So they're big champions of Blink, and we love their band as well.
Yeah, well, more seriously, I think we can say that we see the influence of Blink-182 in other bands. How do you see that in music today?
I don't really recognize it outright, but a lot of people who are doing very well right now cite Blink-182 as an influence. Everyone from, like Chainsmokers and Halsey to 21 Pilots to A Day to Remember, all these bands that have come up cite Blink-182, and that's a huge honor. It's awesome.
And was punk mainstream? I mean, before you were doing it, in the pop mainstream?
Not when I first started, and that was something that I always loved about punk rock, was we always felt like the outsiders, and I relished that. In my mind, the sentiments of punk rock and hip hop come from the same place of disenfranchised youth that are just lashing out against the world, and I think that spirit is what really drew me to punk rock. And it was not mainstream at all when I first started listening to it. And we were very lucky that as Blink progressed, more and more people started understanding punk rock and coming to the scene. But no, when we first started, I don't know, we were always the outcasts.
Well, speaking of this rebellious spirit, your lyrics are known for being, let's say, light-hearted. Has that changed as you've got older?
No. I think we've always stuck to who we were, and we've never really been a very political band. I mean, we've written about very intense personal things that happened to us, or divorce, or suicide, or things that happened to our friends, and breakups. And then we have total joke songs as well. But as far as being political, we've never really taken a stance. We all have our own strongly held views, but it's not something that I feel like Blink is about.
Okay, well, speaking of politics, you might be aware that your country is going through a political transition.
They are.
Right now, we wanted to test your knowledge of US history with a little pop quiz.
All right.
Some election-themed questions. Who was the oldest elected president?
The oldest elected president? You mean of all time, or
Of all
currently
time.
living?
Of all time.
George Washington. No?
Ronald Reagan.
Oldest when he was elected.
Yeah.
God. Okay, cool. I understand now.
Well, okay.
I wouldn't have gotten it right
in.
anyway, but
Who was the first president to officially go by an informal shortened version of his first name?
Abraham Lincoln? Abe?
I'll go with that. I was going to say Bill Clinton.
I have it on good authority that it was Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter? Okay, cool. I was only off by
yeah.
2 presidents.
Which president never lived in the White House?
George Washington. because it wasn't finished by the time that he was. I'm going to go wrong. I'm going to answer George Washington
Is this
everything and just be
consensual?
wrong.
I'm with him. Yeah, George Washington.
That is the correct answer.
That's awesome.
Who was the only president to also be a licensed bartender?
I don't know. Who you got?
It's a multi-talented president.
Grover Cleveland.
Okay.
I'll say Taft.
It was Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, great.
And finally, a more personal question. If you were feeling generous as a band and you were to donate one of your songs as a campaign anthem to a politician for an election, which one would it be?
What would it be? I don't know. I can't think of anything clever right now.
Yeah, I wasn't going clever. I was going safe. I don't know, Kennedy.
Very good and very political. My personal pick would be a song from your new album, perhaps Bored to Death, since we're all getting a little bit tired of elections. Blink-182, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
For joining us today, and thanks for being with us in the studio. We'll leave you with a clip of Bored to Death from the new album, California. Remember, you can check out our website for more arts and culture, and you can also follow Encore on our social media channels. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.